Hi, I'm Michael Mueller with Sunbelt Power Controls. Today we're going to go over programming the SB2000. It's pretty simple. I'm going to walk you through a couple of steps. First off, here you can see we got a nice 6-inch display that displays all of our pumps and their states, whether they're on, off, or in manual. A couple of the features we have are when it's off, the pump icon is red to let you know that the pump is off. In auto, they will be green when they are running, and if they're in manual, the pump icon will be yellow to show you that it is in manual. Real fast, we'll go through pump setup. As default, whenever you order your SB2000 system from Sunbelt Power Controls, it will be set up to the configuration in which you ordered, whether it's a simplex, duplex, triplex, or any other configuration that you desire. But we try to make this as simple as possible, that way it's not too confusing. So I'm going to go through this real fast and we'll see if it makes sense. So first off, you can see that there are buttons along the bottom of the HMI or the touchscreen, and they say pump setup, alarms history, and hour meter. So everything you need to know to set up your pumps, and when you want your pressures to come on, and or when you want your pump to come on, which pressure, and when you want your pumps to turn off at which pressure. And there's also on and off delays, and I'll go through that here in just a second. So if we press the pump setup button, right now this is a triplex system. So we have lead pump start, lead pump stop, on delay, and off delay times. Now we can configure those to minutes, seconds, and we can also alternate these pumps every 24 hours or every time that the system calls for water. So in each one of these, we have to press push to log in to change any of them. By default, the password is 1951. That's 1951. So I'll punch that in, and I'll press enter when I'm done. Then now, if you notice on the bottom of the screen, the pump login button changed to green, and it counts down. So after 1 minute's time, if you have not pressed anywhere on the screen, it'll automatically log out. So right now we are logged in. We got 44 seconds to go. So if I want to change the lead pump start pressure, I can simply press that button, and then I can change it to anything that you want. So my lead pump is starting at 25 psi, and I want it to stop, let's just say, for instance, 30 psi. So I can change that to 30 and press enter. And then there's an on and off delay time. So once the system detects, hey, I need pressure, do you want it to wait a certain amount of time? And if so, how much time do you want it to wait? Right now we have 2 seconds, but again, if you want to change it, just press the button and change it to whatever is right for your application. Same thing as when you meet your pressure that is desired, the off delay time is how much more time that pump will run until it shuts off. So right now we have off delay time is 10 seconds, and on delay time is 10 seconds. And then I can go through this with our lag. I can drop the pressure down a little bit lower than the lead, stop pressure, and on and off delays. You can do that through each one. So when we go to the configuration screen, so here is where you set up your discharge pressures, your suction pressures, whether you have float switches, if you want your timers to be in seconds or minutes, and alarm times. Do you want, how fast do you want those alarms to trigger once it sees that alarm? Do you want it in seconds or do you want it in minutes? And then our switch lead pump screen, that is, do you want that pump to run or to alternate every 24 hours? So when the system is called for more pressure, do you want the same pump to run for 24 hours and then after 24 hours the next pump take over? That's what the 24-hour alternate button is for. In auto alternate mode, every time the system is called for or called on, it will switch pumps. So pump 1 will come on this time, next time it'll be pump 2, and it'll alternate every time that the system comes on. And we also have a run mode button. So in local, the system runs automatically by itself. It'll turn on and turn off whenever it's called for, or your pressures are not met or they are met. We also have a remote mode. So what that is there's, on your terminal strip, there's 2 terminals. So if you have something elsewhere in your system or at your facility to where you only need the pumps to run when you tell it to run and not automatically, you can switch to remote mode, and you just need a simple contact closure across 2 terminals. So for this instance, on discharge, we have 0 to 250 psi or 0 to 500. We will include which transducer that you specified when ordering. So if you have a 0 to 500, we'll select that one. And then on suction, we have 4 different flavors. We have 0 to 25 on your suction, 0 to 250 transducer, or if you're using a tank, if you have a float switch, is it normally open or normally closed float switch, you can make those selections there. Moving on. We'll go to alarm setup now, and in your alarm setup, we have 2 options. You have low discharge pressure or high discharge pressure. So at these points, at which point on your low discharge pressure should you set an alarm and say, hey, maybe I need to stop the pumps and tell somebody, hey, I have no water at my pumps. Same thing on high discharge. If something goes wrong and you're pushing too much water and getting too much pressure in those pipes, at which PSI should I trigger an alarm and tell somebody? So on those, again, you have to push to log in. 1951 is your code. And we can go in and change our set points. Simple. Just press your whichever set point it needs to be. And then the on delay for that alarm is for low discharges. So if you have a moment in time where you go below that discharge point, do you want it to automatically trigger? Do you want to wait maybe 5, 10, 15 seconds or even a minute just in case it corrects itself? So that's what the on delays are for. So if we want to wait 15 seconds, which is 4 now, we can do that, or we can change it to 30 seconds. Or if we go back into our configuration screen, we can even change it to minutes. High discharge pressures, same functionality. This is just on the high end if you get too much pressure. At which point do you set an alarm, and how long do you want to wait before that alarm goes off? And you also have a reset button. So you can either do a manual reset where you have to press an alarm reset button, or you can have an auto reset, which after a certain amount of time it'll auto reset and the system will go back in automatic and it'll start pumping again. We go to our main screen, here we are. We also have an alarms history button. So if you're wondering why you're having an alarm at this moment in time and what's wrong, well, here's our history. So right now, these are in the past. It tells you the date and the time in which you had an alarm. And these alarms can be anything as the VFD's faulted, or your transducer has failed, or you had high discharge or low discharge. Anything that is in green has been cleared. It's not active at the moment. If it's red, it's active. So you actively have an alarm at that moment in time if it's red. We also have an hour meter function. On the hour meters, it lets you know how long each pump has run. So every time one of your pumps comes on, the hour meter starts ticking up. And these are not resettable by the user, or easily, put it that way. And if at any time your date and time is wrong or is not being displayed correctly, you can press the date and time button up here, and you can change those as long as you're logged in. And it's you just press the button, change the month, change the day, and change the year. And if at any time the value that you pressed is incorrect or is not valid to the system, you will get a error screen that says data input failed. That means whatever you're inputting does not compute. So to go over our main display screen, you'll see that you are in the main screen by it says main on top. You'll have a discharge icon there that shows you where your pressures are at. So our main display, we have suction and discharge pressures displayed at all times. If you go through any of your screens, the suction and discharge will always be displayed. So if you're trying to set up your alarms at this moment in time, you can still see where your pressures are while you're trying to program. And every time that you change something, it's automatic. It automatically inputs it. So if you're trying to play or tweak with your system to make sure it's running correctly or the way you want it to, you have that option that you can see where your pressures are at that moment in time.